Part 58. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 572. Missouri Boring put his hands on his head, divided his long brown hair into two bunches and put them on his chest. Hey, Mr. Su, apart from Royal Oak and Counterattack, who are you going to take out? Royal Oak still agreed to join us, which is gratifying. Sugu tapped his fingers on the table and said, I have already bought the ticket, but there is only one spot left. I really can't say who is better to take. Anyone can do it. You can't be so casual. Well, sometimes I think about it. It's a very happy thing that there are only a few people in the town hall. At least there is no need to hesitate. Missouri crossed her legs and swung her high heels. You're getting an advantage and you behave like a good boy. It has been a long time since I came to the town hall, and I understand all kinds of things. Although there are still many doubts, such as why there are so many powerful ship girls in the garrison. Not to mention those African garrison buildings, even those European admirals who deserve to be cut to pieces. Not to mention someone's age. In a few years it will be even more difficult to form a standard six-man team composed entirely of battleships. If you don't see it with your own eyes, even for the world's leading garrison, if you want to have so many and powerful ship girls, you can only dream. Idiots talk about dreams, and everything is possible in dreams. It's not about showing off. I'm past the age where I like to show off my boat. There's no need to show off in front of you. Missouri sneered, then thought about it and said, since you are so hesitant, let's just bring all the ship girls who want to come with us. The town government is not short of money. Sugu thought about this, and said, it's a good idea. Richelieu has taken it with him, why not take Washington with him? He usually likes to bully South Dakota a little, so she can't let her down. Let's talk about Zhanghe, Ziwikaku. Anyway, if we bring all the people we want to go with, it will become a trip for the whole town. Yeah, everyone likes you. Ship girls tend to like admirals. This is something that anyone who knows a little bit about this circle will understand. It's just that it's easy, not that easy. At least you won't fall in love with it just after joining the garrison. Different people have different personalities, and even so, it still takes some time to get to the point where you like them. I am a good example, and York City can also be said to be a good example. It has been more than a year, and I probably like her, but I want to get married, but I think too much. I have never seen such a tutelage before. It is normal for the ship girl to have a crush on the admiral, but there are too many ship girls who can marry casually. When it came to this point, Sugu didn't show his pride as usual, and he still felt a little guilty for getting his favor all by cheating in the game. Although this is already the case and there is no other way, I will try my best to respond to everyone now. I am actually a little happy. Missouri held the snack in the small plate in front of him and took a bite. Her fingers were slender and white, her cherry-colored lips parted slightly, and she looked particularly seductive. How on earth do you gain a good impression? It would be nice to place the secretary ship and interact with it more. Placing a secretary ship in the game can increase your favorability every day, and it is very easy to reach 100. If the same behavior is explained here, it is natural to get along with each other day and night in the office and improve our goodwill. It's just not as efficient here as in the game. Moreover, the secretary ship did not make any mistakes. Frequent replacement of the secretary ship will have a great impact on the garrison and cannot be so casual. Thinking of this, Sugu glanced at Missouri. This charming and lustful girl is a powerful battleship in her own right. If she gets it in the game, she will definitely gain full favor for a while, even the ring, which is a pity. Of course, Missouri didn't know what Sugu was thinking, but she shuddered inexplicably. She asked, do you know how many people in the townhouse like you? I won't say it, otherwise it will appear too narcissistic. Let me count for you. Missouri stretched out her hand and spread her fingers. However, She thought about it, looked around, and saw Washington standing behind South Dakota holding an axe. Her voice paused. "Forget it, I don't want to die anymore." He didn't say anything about returning, but he thought in his heart that it seemed that there were too many people who wanted to get the ring from the admiral. Richelieu made no pretense and his affection was obvious. Washington is disguised, and it can still be seen from the details. Even the royal sister North Carolina, who I had only met a few times, had tenderness in her eyes when talking about the admiral. Then there are many more: Raiders, Wichita. Missouri thought about the scene he saw that morning again and laughed. "Saratoga must have been pestering you all day." Sugu immediately felt distressed when he mentioned his sister-in-law. Her sister-in-law pestered her all day long and expressed that she definitely wanted to go with her. He kept saying that he would go on a belated honeymoon trip in the name of finding everyone, and while he was talking, he was painting cakes for others. The brother-in-law and the sister-in-law were in the same cabin. It was raining heavily outside, and the room was a little dull, like a lonely boat in the heavy rain. They cuddled up and talked to each other from morning until night. When I went to bed at night, there was a strong wind blowing outside, lightning crossed the sky, and thunder rumbled. Afraid of thunder, rather afraid of loud noises, the sister-in-law got into her brother-in-law's quilt, and finally the two of them hugged each other. After that, there are some things that need not be said. Sugu could only say that what Leipzig bought was a 4-person cabin. He originally wanted to buy a 6-person cabin, but he thought it was too simple, so he bought a relatively high-end 4-person cabin. However, my sister-in-law, Saratoga, didn't care. It was a trivial matter. As long as she changed my ticket, everything would be fine. And the person traveling with him was a girl from Royal Oak who was in a daze and wouldn't resist even if he was pushed down. The counterattack is the little maid, the kind of little maid who fights with the master and the heroine inside the room, and then holds the door outside. In particular, she has always said happily that she has great advantages and there is no one she can't afford to offend. First of all, if the snow wind does not go away, luck can be said to be metaphysics. However, there should still be a certain respect for metaphysics. Sugu also feels the same way. My sister Lexington didn't go out together. In this case, my sister should be very fond of me as my younger sister. It's stable. It's hard to say, Sugu. The first person to deny you was Lexington. Thinking about it, I still think Richelieu and Washington are better. Compared with many people in the garrison, they are thin-skinned and are afraid of rejection. After chatting for a long time, if you say something like "You just reminded me, do you want to come with me?" you will definitely get a helpless nod and the answer of "Since you need it, Admiral, there is nothing I can do if there are other considerations, just pretend not to know," and they will treat it as nothing happened. Anyway, the days to come are still very long, so don't worry about it. Missouri continued to eat and said, "I'm thinking about a question. You don't need to take everyone out. But if everyone wants to go out with you, they can tell you that they want to travel, and you will definitely agree. Then buy and go with you. You will have to bring the ticket for the same flight if you don't bring it with you then. It's just that I can't share the same cabin with you, but that's a small thing, I'll just stay in your cabin. It's just clever, no one would do it. South Dakota is quite stupid, and she likes you very much. Although she has done a lot of things to gain favor with you, the effect is often counterproductive. Even if she is smart, she might do this, so just admit her mistake when the time comes. Anyway, you are the kind of person who accepts soft things rather than hard words. As long as you apologize for your grievances, you will definitely forgive others. I will forgive people, but it just doesn't touch my bottom line. Isn't that little cleverness your bottom line?" Sugu nodded and thought for a moment in silence. He looked around again and found that South Dakota was not around. He said, "South Dakota's IQ is not enough to come up with such a solution. I think she has given up on treatment and is just in the hospital every day. It's just fun. She plays with little Lolita without any sense of incompatibility, and her brain waves are completely connected. On the contrary, if you ask her to chat with Richelieu, Bismarck, and the Prince of Wales, they won't be able to talk to each other at all. You're slandering people again. Sugu asked back, do you think so? Missouri fell into silence. After a long time, she suddenly asked, I heard someone said that you went there to find your companions in the garrison. In fact, it doesn't matter whether you go out or not. As long as the Royal Oak and the counter-attack go over, it will be fine. To show that I take it seriously, it's better to go there in person. Besides, I went out in person to find everyone in the past. It's not good to go there now. And if I go there, it's easy to say anything. Apologize and do whatever you need to do, and adapt to circumstances. It's mainly about hood and prestige. Sugu nodded honestly, this is a little reason. Missouri said, but you've been going like this for several months. It won't be easy to handle here. It will be boring to leave everyone in the garrison without an admiral. It's just a few months, well, it should be less than a few months. Besides, I'm only in my 20s now, so there's still a long time to come, and everyone will be together. Yes, you are still young and can squander. But if you think about it, if you only find one person at a time and there are many people in the garrison, no matter how much you squander, what are you looking at me like? I know I'm trying to get into trouble, no, maybe one person at a time. Sugu said, that's it? Missouri was very excited, speaking of which, Hood and Reputation are very strong. They are battle cruisers. If it's just a drill, they can't actually compete with the counterattack. Missouri was confused, why does everyone say they are very strong and irreplaceable when talking about them? The counterattack drill is great, and her sister's reputation may not be as good as yours in drills. But once on the battlefield, she is ruthless and unrestrained. And the attack is not a one-on-one duel, it mainly depends on the combination. A team with Hood as the system, with the team with Bazai as the system, the aircraft carrier group. I recently discovered that the aircraft carrier group uses Akagi as the flagship, and the effect is good. Akagi aircraft carrier, Hood doesn't know, but seeing Bazai makes people feel discouraged. After saying that, Missouri remembered seeing Richelieu absent-minded in the morning, and suddenly said, looking at them all wanting to go out, it actually made me want to go too. Now that they are in trouble, Sugu waved his hand, Missouri, please don't join in the fun. I didn't take them out just for fun. Missouri giggled, I really like traveling. I have traveled all over the world before. She stretched out a slender finger and tapped on her lips again, and said, speaking of which, are you looking for your lost companions? Sugu responded, yes. Remember what I told you before? That time you specifically asked me if I knew any wandering ship girls. Let me tell you, I know one in the Prince of Wales, and I also know one in Bismarck. But they are definitely not yours. Man, because yours has returned to the tutelage. I have never seen Bazai. No matter which one is a otaku, it is normal not to see her. I have never seen Zayazai. Of course, the most adorable Zayazai in the world, there is only one natural thing in the world. This time, I used to hang out with the company in the West, and I know a lot of people there. Companions from the garrison, wandering ship girls, maybe I can find one or two through connections. Otherwise, there are no familiar people. Even if the ship girl is easy to talk to, it's not a good idea if you rush up to visit her, they may not do their best. Sugu said, why are you and the company hanging out in the West? Missouri asked back, it's not in the West, otherwise where can I hang out? There have been more naval battles there in history, and now there are many deep-sea warships, and there are also many deep-sea flagships. In history, there were just as many naval battles in the Pacific, and there were also many deep-sea battles, but over there aren't many cities, so what are you doing here to join in the fun? Sugu nodded, it seems to be the case. Missouri continued, feeling excited, I want to go, I really want to go. Our garrison suppressed the deep-sea flagship, and also captured the trophies Yamato Broken Horn and Wikaku Sickle. Hey, I suddenly thought, I brought these trophies over and said, I have recently collected a weapon, and I would like you to appreciate it. Then I took out the sickle. It feels really good. After all, wealth will never return to its hometown, just like walking in brocade at night. I know someone, and I especially want to show off in front of her. The battleship H-39 Type 1, a planning ship, is a very rare existence. It is called the Hindenburg here. It feels like the deep sea. I used to like to chase. She loves me and challenges me, but she can't beat me. Then once she is stunned, she looks very funny. She has a very loud tone, but her strength is not very good. Once she loses, she will be as big as your cat. The tiger turns into a soft cat. That's right, we might be able to pick her up. Let me tell you, she looks mad, but she's actually a stupid girl. It's very simple to find a lot of people to beat her up. Even if you don't fish for her, she will probably catch up with you and follow you. Oh, think about it, let it go, her character is very troublesome. While Missouri was talking, Sugu was thinking that by taking this girl with him, he could build up a good impression on the road, and maybe find a new partner through relationships, or even kill 3 birds with 1 stone, just like fishing a boat. Boom. Just as he was thinking about it, Sugu saw Saratoga slap on the table and the girl shaking her head, unable to defend herself. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 573. The cruise ship is sailing on the sea, and the sun shines into the room through the windows. Missouri, aren't you tired of holding it all the time? What's so annoying? I like it so much. Missouri sat cross-legged on the bed and couldn't put it down, stroking the sickle in his hand that exuded a faint orange light. In the end, he brought Missouri out. He really wanted to use the other party's influence to try to see if it was possible to find his former companion. In this case, the sister-in-law can only continue to stay in the guardhouse. Of course, Sugu comforted and promised, saying that they would go out to play together when they came back. There were only 2 people who didn't take anyone with them, not even Lexington or Xiaozai, so my sister-in-law smiled all over her face. Of course, Richelieu couldn't bring her with her. The city they were going to was really far away from the historical location of the Battle of Dakar. Her reason was completely untenable. You really want to show it off. Sugu was originally unwilling to take out the loot obtained from the deep-sea flagship, but Missouri was not that easy to deal with. She joined the town guard, but she was no more fond of Sugu than many people. At the same time, she was someone who would not let go of the eagle in sight. I originally wanted to take the trophy to show off in front of the company, but Sugu stopped me from letting the company see it. Missouri paused. You guys like I got the battleship again, but the Hornet is really bad, it's not as good as York City. I don't want the battleship at all, I ate too much, and all the resources of the garrison were consumed. Showing off like this means that I will only show off the ship to you admirals, not to us shipmates. Showing off the equipment, achievements, and medals is the most interesting thing. Sugu said, I don't like showing off the boat. Well, actually you can show off the admiral. What do you have to show off? Sugu said shamelessly, he's handsome. Look in the mirror and try to save some face, okay? At least be gentle. You are so embarrassed to say that. Other admirals are gentle and will thoughtfully prepare breakfast for their own shipmates. Look at you, what day does he not wake you up with a counterattack, help you get breakfast, help you get dressed, and even help you after breakfast? Wipe your mouth. Compared to others, the little maid's counterattack is absolutely considerate. In fact, these are just trivial things. If you want to, you will even get under the quilt to warm your bed. Of course, if you want to go further, you must have a ring. Missouri saw it and hated it in its heart. Although it fought back and took care of itself, the differential treatment was too exaggerated. Sugu said, "You didn't help me alone. We all had breakfast together. And I only helped with dressing and wiping my mouth once, and then I did it all by myself. You just think the influence is bad, but actually you are flattered." Sugu simply said, "Okay, I admit, I'm flattered. What about you, are you jealous?" Counterattack sat on the edge of the bed, and he slept on the girl's lap without hesitation. The little servant girl is loved by everyone. They used to go to find the Prince of Wales together, and now they go to find Hood and Reputation together. Not to mention getting along with each other in the governor's mansion, the two of them spent too much time out. There are some things that don't need to be elaborated on. Royal Oak was sleeping soundly, and as Sugu slept on her lap, her face turned red, but she didn't speak. Missouri danced lightly with the sickle. "I will tell Lexington what I saw. The master and the little maid are having an affair." "Shiu knew, go ahead and report me," Sugu almost laughed. In Lexington's mind, he didn't care too much about the number of people and the lack of people. He only cared about whether the status was important or not. "Missouri, you are also in the harem. Reserve personnel." Missouri looked at Sugu's smile and asked, "What does beautiful girl mean?" "I don't know, don't ask me, of course I couldn't say the specific meaning. You only know how to take advantage of others, you hooligan. If you laugh again, I'll kick you." Sugudeo, "Actually, when it comes to gentleness, I am very gentle. I used to live with Xiaozai for a long time, and I would dress Xiaozai and comb her hair. Otherwise, why do you think Xiaozai is so caring?" "Because I am the best in the world." "Admiral." "Huh, I think of the promise you made to yourself that you are still reluctant to fulfill. What a ship girl, you never keep your word." Not only because of the bet, but also because of the cute little house, Missouri looked up and said in a cold tone, "I really hit someone. You can't beat me even if I hit you, so fight back." The girl next door girl fought back but still didn't say anything. She rubbed Sugu's head. Seeing that Missouri still didn't put down the scythe in his hand, Sugu spoke again. "At first, I was worried that when we came out with the loot, we would encounter the deep sea along the way. Think about it, the deep sea flagship is the big devil in the story. Their weapons will definitely attract countless enemies to come out in full force, just to take them back. There is no wisdom in the ordinary deep sea, how can it be so mysterious? Besides, the big devil has been killed. You are the subordinate of the big devil. Do you dare to join?" "Okay, I don't dare." Missouri continued to caressing the scythe in his hand, and after thinking about it, he picked up the broken horn that glowed purple. "She will keep all the loot. She has issued a military order. She is willing to be punished if it is damaged or lost, and she swears that there will be no water in it." Instead of continuing to talk to Missouri, Sugushun took a book to read. He had already had a lot of experience. Compared with bringing some snacks and fruits on the boat, it was no better than before to go to Washington. He had to go directly across the ocean, this time closer to the mainland. During the voyage, you will dock in various cities along the way and park for half a day or a day, and then you can buy food and drink. During this period, everyone even spent half a day playing around. Sure enough, she is also a home girl, but Royal Oak is easier to deal with than Bazai, and she never complains. Obviously it is more important to bring spiritual food that can be used to kill time, and I brought a few books of various kinds. The comic also comes with a set. Of course, comics like Bazai's favorite still need to be restrained. Sugu took the book, glanced at it casually, and slept on the girl's lap pillow. He was really not in the mood to read. He said boredly, "Counterattack, I found a problem. You used to go to the Prince of Wales's room every day to help her dress up. It seems that you haven't been there recently and you have slacked off." I said it casually, but I don't blame him for not being careful in his counterattack. The blush on the little maid's face still didn't dissipate, and her voice was gentle. "I don't know when you will run to the Prince of Wales' room. It's not as convenient as before." Although he didn't speak, he kept paying attention to the situation here. Missouri said, "Corruption and depravity." Ignoring Missouri, Councillor Sue said, "From now on, you never see the Prince of Wales in the morning. No, you need to know where the Admiral will stay overnight. If you don't know, you won't be able to go." Sugu hesitated for a moment and said, "From time to time, you can always see Prince Eugen standing guard outside Bismarck's room. He will wait until he greets Bismarck before doing anything." He smiled back, "I'm not a nanny like Prince Eugen. You are also a nanny. The counterattack is always the Admiral's little nanny." It seems that counterattack is not easy either. Half a month passed quickly, and the cruise ship stopped halfway. It stopped for a day. It is said that it encountered a deep-sea ship girl ahead. On this day, Missouri wanted to run to watch the excitement, but then felt that it was too much trouble. Later, he went to the deck to watch the excitement, and then brought back a box of preserved fruits. While putting the preserved fruit into his mouth, Missouri said, "Your cruise ship is actually escorted by a battleship. I thought that the luxury cruise ship we were looking for in Washington was a bit lower quality than the one we originally visited in Washington. There was a garrison along the route, so this route was also much easier to navigate and did not require such a high level of escorts. But for a large cruise ship, it is not strange to have a battleship in the escort." Sugu said, "It's rare but strange. You definitely can't guess it. What kind of ship girl do you think she is?" "Yes, I can't guess." Hey, you're insulting me." Missouri showed a charming smile, winked at Sugu, put her index and middle fingers together on her lips, and blew a kiss. The beautiful lady asked, "You are actually indifferent and so perfunctory." Sugu was unceremonious. "Third-rate star, you don't want to wear yellow stockings anymore." Missouri snorted. Ever since he came into contact with Richelieu, he learned that the past is a dark history. It's not a black history. People who only talk about black stockings, white stockings, and bare legs will never understand the charm of yellow stockings. If you want to ignore people, you will end up being bored on the boat. At the same time, Missouri is feeling a little bad. It's bad enough. Since joining the town hall, he has gradually become indifferent to people and things outside the town hall. She had no choice but to chat with someone. She said to herself, "That battleship is the Rodney. It is also a very rare battleship, but the equipment is too bad." "Your equipment isn't much better. Exclusive Mk7, Mk6, and Type 91 armor-piercing bullets. How many people's equipment is better than mine? I didn't give it to you. Give it to me and it's mine. As an admiral, you'd be too embarrassed to rob it from the ship girl. I won't take it, and you won't be able to return it until Bismarck asks you for it. Don't think that I don't know. This is a set of equipment owned by Bazai, and Bazai doesn't care at all. And you also said before that you would give me such equipment when you joined the garrison." Sugu recalled what he had said when he first met with Missouri. At that time, it was just about drawing cakes. He said, "We agreed to give it as a betrothal gift. Do you know what the betrothal gift means?" Missouri paused and smiled charmingly, "Husband." Sugu hid his face. This girl was really his equal opponent, not someone like Ruhi who looked powerful but was actually very shy. In order to achieve the goal by means, he must also know that he would never dare to use his hands. Just why he said he was an equally matched opponent, Sugu responded, "Well, okay, my good wife." Missouri scolded, "I have never seen such a shameless person. Sugu sneered. Missouri's voice suddenly became profound. After talking for so long, once you don't care, is it possible that Rodney is your ship girl? You said the equipment is bad, but my Rodney's equipment is very good. Although he said this, Sugu took a special look shortly afterwards with a counterattack. As you can imagine, the result was not at all. Royal Oak spends most of his time sleeping or in a daze, and spends a small amount of time reading. Indeed, he is just like Bazi, who never likes to go out. A girl with such a personality made it difficult for Sugu to deal with her. He didn't know how to gain favor with her, but the girl was really cute, especially when she was completely unprepared, and she could always give people a lot of benefits. It was a rare day when Royal Oak took the initiative to perform for people. He originally thought there would be beautiful music. Sugu, who was sitting by the bed eating cookies, unexpectedly heard it. It was played on a clarinet. Although there were some differences, it was another meaning in the game above. Music, miracle comes from great construction appeared only after Shengji Uncheng. He felt a little strange. Where did you learn this song? It will happen naturally. Sugu said, Royal Oak, do you know you have 4 more sisters? Have no idea. Revenge, sovereignty, determination, Ramilus, such moving music must have been taught to you by them. Do not know. She is really an indifferent girl. Thinking like this, Sugu took a biscuit and suddenly asked, do you want to eat a biscuit? Unexpectedly, Royal Oak bit her lip, without reaching out to pick it up. She walked up to him, grabbed his hand, bit it directly, and sucked her fingers. Sugu was a little confused for a moment, while Missouri watched from the side, wondering when he had flirted with Royal Oak again. On the contrary, Royal Oak blinked in confusion, not understanding why everyone reacted so loudly. When Sugu was a little suspicious that this girl didn't understand anything, Royal Oak finally woke up a little and became shy. Missouri thought, this is because he regards the Admiral as one of his own, without any precautions. No, this is because he doesn't regard the Admiral as a man at all, and he doesn't know how tempting this action is. Seeing the appearance of Royal Oak, Sugu also understood that this girl was really confused and not flirtatious, but she was really flirtatious. With straight bangs, satin-like black hair, an above-average figure, and a cute and confused personality, Royal Oak is determined to be you. Missouri, wearing a vest, complained next to him, Royal Oak, you look like this. One day, a certain admiral named Su will really show his bestiality. What should you do? Royal Oak blinked, and Missouri sighed, you probably only wear black stockings in tatters, wear a white shirt, sit on the floor like a duck, and then lie on the edge of the bed, resting your head on your hands. Your face is full of grievances. The hair was messy and spread out on the bed. In the end, someone was not responsible. After imagining the scene for a moment, Sugu said, Missouri, don't insult someone's innocence out of thin air. Chatting and discussing with Missouri all over the world every day, there are back and forth, there are wins and losses. Enjoy the personal service of counterattack, well, that's a bit ambiguous. The Royal Oak is unprotected every day, either sleeping with a pillow in its arms or walking around the room in slippers without going out. In short, the days passed by little, and more than half of the journey was quickly passed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 574. In fact, it can be said that the cruise ship has docked, but the docking point is at night, and the cruise ship did not put the passengers down. In the cabin, Sugu sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the Royal Oak, with his black hair spread out on the pillow and a happy expression on his face. The girl had fallen asleep, probably still dreaming. She goes to bed earlier than the little loli. In the guard house, the little lowly has to wait until 9 or 10 o'clock to go to bed. Even so, it still takes a long time, and there is a lot of noise at night, like Helena, Tianlong, and Long Tian occasionally going on night patrols. He approached cautiously on tiptoes, then put his ears to it to listen to what was going on inside, as if he were a thief. However, Royal Oak happened to start beating Hatch at 8 o'clock every day, and then began to lie down on the bed. She doesn't ask you to turn off the lights or stop talking. She can fall asleep no matter how noisy the surroundings are. Compared to the Royal Oak, Sugu couldn't sleep at night because he heard the sailor on the deck at noon saying that he could get there today. If he doesn't sleep, counterattack will never sleep. He keeps saying that there is no reason why the master is still awake but the maid is sleeping. Although Missouri always complains, you are like a master and a maid, or you are also a crooked master and a cheating maid. It was late at night, and Sugu stood by the window and looked out. It was dark outside. It happened that the cabin where everyone was located was not on the side close to the dock, so he couldn't see anything. It's already here. Yeah, he pursed his lips in retort, the smile on his face not obvious. Some expectations. Yeah, I miss my sister too. Missouri sat cross-legged on the bed, wiggling her cute toes, holding a Royal Oak clarinet in her hand. No matter how much I like trophies, I still have to caress them many times every day. After such a long time, I feel a little tired of them. Suddenly, on a whim, I want to try the clarinet or become an actor, so I need to be versatile. Nowadays, only his acting skills are passable, and that's because of his innate talent. So I asked Royal Oak for advice, and I have to say that she still has some talent, and she can already play half of an ode to joy or happy birthday. Usually when I want to practice in broad daylight, in order not to cause trouble to others and for fear of disturbing others, my voice is often kept low. Now at night, Royal Oak was even asleep, and she was just playing with her clarinet. Sue, your expectation is just to get 2 wives. Sugu turned around and said, whatever you say. Along the way, you frequently asked about reputation, hood, and more about other people. You asked about their personalities and their hobbies. In order to gain favor, you have become extremely vicious. Sugu said, this is because the admiral cares about the ship girl. As an admiral running away from home, aren't you afraid of them slapping you? It has been some time since he joined the garrison, and Missouri has been able to gradually feel the feeling of the admiral not being around, although it is not yet profound. Hood is the eldest lady in England, and her reputation is that of the head maid. Do you think everyone is as vicious as you? The more gentle a person is, the more powerful they will explode. To Sugu, both Hood and reputation were just data in the past. He had indeed heard a lot of things, but that was all. For Missouri, I don't even know who he is. For counterattack, her reputation is her sister. She may not be too close to her sister, but she has a lot of admiration for her and understands her well enough. She countered, absolutely not. As long as the admiral can come back, they will definitely be happy. Sugu said, if you ask me, it doesn't matter if you get hit, and it doesn't matter if you ignore it deliberately. Violence or cold violence, these all show that I care about you. Missouri said, masochism. Sugu suddenly laughed and said, there are attacks and there are attacks. Some people like to be abused. It makes sense. You like it, Missouri stretched out her legs, I can step on you. It was indeed enough to lick the broken legs. Sugu still shook his head, I don't like being stepped on. Missouri still wanted to say something, but Sugu didn't give him a chance, otherwise the next conversation would definitely go in a very strange direction. He turned off the light and said, okay, go to bed. What he wanted to say was interrupted, and Missouri's charming voice sounded in the darkness, come here, let's sleep together. Sugu rushed over excitedly, put his hands on the bed, and immediately ate a pillow. In fact, he knew very well what the result was. Even though he was charming and lustful, Missouri could not do anything casually. He just thought these jokes were interesting. Missouri said, "Okay, masochist, I've satisfied you." After all, he was a little excited at night. Sugu got up early the next morning, then got out of bed and looked out the window. It was still dark. Admiral Xiao whispered, "Why did you wake up so early?" Sugu could hear the sound of retaliation. Every time he woke up, the little maid would always wake up. Her sleep was very light. "I don't know, I just woke up anyway. For example, clothes, books, and comics have been put away at night. No matter how early I get up in the morning, there is nothing to do." After a while, I heard a counterattack saying, "Admiral, let's go for a walk on the deck." It was a rare request from the little maid, so Sugu nodded, "Okay." The two went to the deck. There were already several people there, and they seemed to be unable to sleep. Then occasionally they saw sailors passing by. The sea breeze was a bit strong in the morning. Everyone got up and simply washed themselves up. Their long blonde hair was not wrapped up and was blown by the wind. She was a little happy and said, "I can see my sister later, I wonder what my sister is doing now." Sugu was amused, "There's nothing special. At this point, he must be sleeping." He fought back and held down his long hair, "Maybe she won't be able to sleep either. My sister has a tacit understanding and knows that we are coming. Are you connected to me, or are you connected to me? Both have it, one is less than the other. Fight back, you're really good at it, but it's not that magical. Girl's sixth sense is so magical. Besides, if it's a sister, no matter what happens, it won't be surprising." Lying on the guard rail, swinging his hands down the railing, Sugu said, "Royal Oak said that everyone was away from the company because of something, so it was her turn to come out alone. In any case, after such a long time, the matter must be done. Then hood, reputation, they must also know our news. They may take the initiative to return to the townhouse at first," Royal Oak said. "She left a message to check the wind first, then they will probably wait here for us to come. Counting that there will be a ship coming that day, it's possible, maybe, when we get off the boat, they'll be waiting outside. It has to be like this." After retorting, she thought for a moment. If this really happened, it would be very tiring for everyone, it's better not to do this. Sugu said, "Think about it, today is not the weekend. By the time we get there, everyone will already be at work. Do you think we should go directly to the company later, or should we go to our residence first?" Counterattack put his hands behind his back and said, "Let's go to the company first. I want to see my sister immediately. But in that case, it would be very troublesome for us to carry big and small bags. Well, if you want to counterattack, this is what we decided." He hit back and poked Sugu with his finger, "You are really good at talking. I just met you before, and you couldn't even say a kind word to the Prince of Wales." After speaking, Counterattack opened his hands and asked, "Admiral, do you think my sister will be shocked when she sees her, and I will be able to catch up with her gradually?" Sugu said, "Don't be so unsure, you are already very powerful. She is the head maid and I am the little maid. Fletcher, Trust is the little maid, they are all your subordinates. You are also the head maid in the town hall, so you can't belittle yourself. So, I've already surpassed my sister in terms of being a maid." With the reputation not around him, Sugu did not hesitate to praise, "Of course, the guard's mansion is in good order under your management." He counterattacked with a smile, "It's a pity that when my sister returns to the guard house, I will have to listen to her. But as for who knows the Admiral best now, it must be me who knows the Admiral best. I have been making progress, and only my sister is still there. Step on the ground." Seeing the smile on the counterattack's face, Sugu wanted to strike again, "But your sister works in the company, and she can run the company with Huda here. She should be very powerful now. We are maids. It is our maid's job to take care of the admiral. Anything else is evil. Sugu looked at Counterattack. Counterattack looked at him and refused to back down. He thought to himself, how cute. I said, you two were deserted early in the morning and came here for a date. Missouri's voice. Sugu calmed down and said, you're awake too. You are all awake, why should I be surprised? I saw no one on your bed, so I thought you had eloped. Sugu's expression was serious. This is why you left Royal Oak alone. If she is in danger, if she is bullied, it will be your fault. Missouri was immediately amused. You said we kissed and molested Royal Oak while she was sleeping. Would she be able to find out? This is a good idea, let's give it a try. Abnormal. Not long after we stayed on the deck, the sky finally got brighter. Returning to the cabin, I woke up the Royal Oak, unable to let the girl sleep any longer. Then I thought about where this place in the old world should be, England, Scotland or Ireland. In the cities outside, maybe potatoes, salted fish, in short, dark cuisine is rampant. Anyway, not long after, everyone had breakfast on the cruise ship, packed their things, and then got off the ship. On the way, Missouri shouted, someone Sugu. Sugu responded, yes. Sugu. Sugu nodded, I heard it, what do you want? His expression changed, and Missouri immediately picked up his backpack and hit him on the head like a murder weapon. Sugu keenly stretched out his hand to block it. After all, he had been trained by Bismarck. Although he still couldn't defeat Bismarck and get the ultimate reward, he could deal with it easily under normal circumstances. In fact, the backpack was filled with clothes, and Missouri didn't use any force. Even if he was hit from the front, there was no way to hurt anyone. What are you doing? Missouri said, at least you have to be a bit gentlemanly. Be sure to call your name and help me get my bag. Sugu raised his hands, holding bags in both hands, and shrugged, indicating that he was completely helpless. Missouri narrowed his eyes, as soon as you get off the boat, you take the initiative to help Royal Oak and counterattack the bag. Your purpose is already obvious. If I help carry the bag for a purpose, do you have any thoughts about me if you insist on me carrying the bag? I have thoughts about you, just dream. Think about it, like many elementary school students, if they like someone, they don't express their feelings, but they have to bully and torment them to show their presence. Thinking about your appearance, it feels almost the same. Yes, I like you. Come on, give me the ring. I will definitely take it and wear it on my hand every day. There was nothing Sugu could do against Missouri. It didn't take long to find the company after leaving the pier and taking a taxi. Standing in front of the company, Sugu looked at everyone carrying their things, covered in dust, and suddenly said, do you think we look like country people who come to the big city to join their relatives? Missouri said unceremoniously, you are similar, but we are not. Sugu looked at Missouri's slightly curly brown hair draped over her shoulders, with star-shaped earrings. She was beautiful and charming. This was not something a country girl could have, and even urban beauties couldn't do it. Thinking about myself, I helped to tidy up my image carefully in the morning. Even after being an admiral for so long, I still have a lot of temperament. Looking at the company's door, Missouri continued, speaking of it, this is the first time I have seen it. Women conquer the world, and men conquer women. How magnificent. I think you deserve a beating. After Sugu finished speaking, he took a deep breath. He was already here and took the first step, let's go. However, everyone was full of expectations, but they encountered a little trouble. They planned to follow Royal Oak upstairs to the office, but were stopped by the front desk halfway. I thought it would be easy with Royal Oak leading the way, but I never expected to encounter such a thing. At the same time, the black-haired girl became slightly shy. She seems to be new here. She doesn't know me and I don't know her. I'm not wearing a uniform, I'm not wearing a badge. I don't go to work every day. Let's go through the back door. Sugu finally understood that this girl from Royal Oak was just a relationship worker who did not work and only received a salary. We can't leave, people are staring at us. Look at Missouri, the sickle is wrapped in cloth, it's still weird. But it was not difficult. Sugu explained the situation to others, and the suspicion at the front desk gradually disappeared. We could have gone straight upstairs, but then Missouri suddenly said, "Little girl, do you know who we are?" The weak-looking receptionist was stunned for a moment and asked cautiously, "I don't know, who are you?" Missouri threatened, "Look at these two people, one is your manager's sister, and the other is your manager and your chairman's husband." Then, as soon as Missouri's words came out, in the end everyone could only endure the looks of others looking at them like fools and stay in the hall. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 575. The man with short blonde hair that reached his shoulders and a plump figure stood by the window, holding the ear of the black teacup, looking at the blue sky outside the window, and then lowered his head to look at the flow of people on the bustling street. A large pile of documents is placed on the desk next to him, and they have all been processed. These are just small things, even though I always seemed a little absent-minded and in a trance during this period, they were completed easily. It's not that she's sick. As a ship girl, she looks weak, but in fact she has a body of steel and is immune to all diseases. Why does this happen? I went out on business and didn't return to the company until a long time later. Royal Oak, who was always in a daze, was not seen. Soon after, he learned that Royal Oak had left the company and gone to a faraway place. At the same time, a piece of information was immediately obtained, saying that a garrison had suppressed the deep-sea flagship. It's just a deep-sea flagship. These are not problems at all, and I have suppressed many of them. Besides, in the east where the garrison is thousands of miles away, it is even more difficult to have an influence here. However, just after reading the title of the newspaper, my brows were already furrowed. The name was so familiar. I was a little skeptical at first, but when I saw the attached photo, I was able to confirm that our admiral was back. I wanted to go there immediately, but Royal Oak had already taken a step ahead, so I could only wait and see. But after waiting for too long, he seemed a little absent-minded and in a trance. Take a sip of black tea and enjoy the breeze and sunshine. Admiral, Admiral. After muttering softly, Sheng Sheng left the window and took out the newspaper from the desk drawer again. In fact, he would take it out every day in his spare time. He took it out, spread it out, stretched out his fingers and tapped a name twice, Sugu, Sugu. All the work was arranged early. I just made a tour of the company, then served Hood snacks and black tea, and helped her catch the two cats ginger and fish cake from the top of the filing cabinet. There is nothing left to do, so I can relax a little and think about the past. The shipgirl battle cruiser renown belongs to Admiral Sugu, or rather Master Sugu. After all, she once served her as a maid and was always called the head maid. It was first built and joined the garrison. Not to mention the little girl, it was second only to Colorado and Lexington. She lived in the garrison as a maid, participating in drills and battles. Although he did not get the flagship position, as the garrison became more and more powerful, the equipment updates became better and better, and one day he got a ring. Master, if you are looking for me to practice escaping from the house, I personally suggest that you need to be more steady. Your face is too red now. No, that's not the sentence. I am not the master's first wedding ship. Although I thought about being the first to get the ring and then say such a sentence, this idea seemed too much for me as a maid, but it was undeniable that I had thought about it. It's just a pity that he is not the first one to get married. The first ring from the owner is worn on Lexington's finger. Then remember the sentence, Master, it seems that you are quite stable and your reputation is very good. Then, please give me more advice in the future. After getting the ring, she still considers herself a maid. In fact, in my heart I see him not just as an admiral and master, but as a lover, a husband, a husband, a husband, a darling, a sweetheart, many, many more. Being a maid can be very happy. I originally thought that the rest of my life would be like this, but then I encountered a bolt from the blue and bad news. In fact, it seems a bit baffling to everyone. The admiral suddenly disappeared from the governor's mansion, and could not be found at all. It even made people doubt that the so-called admiral did not exist at all and had never appeared. However, I do remember the admiral's appearance, from his forehead, eyebrows to cheeks, from his shoulders, chest to legs. Also remember the admiral's preferences, what kind of fruits he likes and what vegetables he hates. I especially remember that he liked to laugh at Hootsie Cat, liked to mock Veneto as a destroyer, liked to poke Helena's chest, and he once stared at the lion's broken state for a long time without blinking an eye. Apart from these, there are many more. From this point alone, our admiral is a pretty bad person. However, no matter what, when he left, everyone still searched like crazy, and then became discouraged until the end. Gradually the garrison fell apart and everyone left. Of course, even if we are separated, the search never ends. He also firmly believes that the admiral exists and will come back one day. It is precisely for this reason that everyone lives in this world, rather than just living it up. While thinking to himself, Sheng Sheng stopped tapping his fingers on the table, took the newspaper again, read the report again, and talked to himself. There is a name and an address. Obviously the garrison is in the Far East, but I can see it from here. We have put a lot of effort into publicity. Are you looking for everyone? There is no reason why the maid is not with the master. We will go back immediately. We should start with Lexington instead of going all the way to the west. Without reputation by your side, I wonder what your life is like now. Many sisters have returned to us, and the garrison has been able to suppress the deep-sea flagship, and its strength has recovered a lot with Lexington by his side, and my sister's counter-attack by his side. I should be able to take good care of you. But it's still a shame. Worried, I wonder if they can remember your habits. I usually sleep well, but occasionally I still have insomnia, and it often becomes very annoying. I like to eat fruit simply, whether it is apples or pears, but I don't want to peel them. After all, she was not a girl who liked resentment. Thinking that she had said so much, Sheng Sheng chuckled. Why did you leave? Did you encounter a problem? If so, tell Reputation and he will definitely help you solve it, and solve it in a cool way. Why did you think of coming back? It doesn't matter, as long as you come back, the reputation will be to prepare black tea and scones. Royal Oak has been away for a long time. She has already arrived at the garrison. Then your plan, do it yourself or send someone over. Then this period of time should have arrived. Where is it? How many more days will it take? It will be at the end of the month. If there is no feedback, Reputation will have to do something. After saying that, he picked up the teacup on the table again and found that it was empty. Reputation stood up and wanted to pour tea again. Suddenly she heard a knock on the door and she put the newspaper away. Please come in. Looking at the figure who opened the door and came holding a large document, it was not the person he imagined, and Reputation suddenly felt a little sensitive these days. What's matter? Manager, there is something wrong with the company. Let me see. It didn't take long and she quickly solved the problem easily. After sitting at the desk for a while, she felt more and more irritated for no reason. Later, she heard the knock on the door again. Missouri, you really like to cause trouble. Don't you think it's too embarrassing to be looked at like this? This was in the hall. Sugu complained towards Missouri. Relax, it's okay. And think about it, when your head maid gets her reputation, she will definitely scare them all. This is called pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger. Sugu said, if you want to pretend to be a pig and eat a tiger, go ahead, I'm not interested. I just feel so uncomfortable. As he spoke, he looked at the front desk in the distance. The little girl at the front desk called a colleague to call someone, and then stared at the few of them as if to guard against thieves. After standing there for a while, another female colleague came over, and immediately saw two people looking at everyone and starting to talk about it, probably talking about some gossip. Bella, is the manager married? I don't know, probably not. I'm telling you, look at the people over there. They came to see the manager. They didn't have an appointment, they weren't customers, they didn't have anything. Then there was the very pretty one, who had something on his back, and she said she was standing by the wall. The man was the manager or the chairman's husband. The man first introduced himself to me as Sugu. He also said that the thinner maid with blonde hair was the manager's sister. I thought it was a joke, but then the two people mentioned there was no denying it. Is that girl? Bella looked at it carefully. She is said to be the manager's sister, she looks a bit similar. But compared to the manager's figure is very plump. How to put it in that sentence, mature. But her figure is slender and completely different. And her temperament is also different. The manager is mature and capable, and nothing seems to be difficult in her hands, while she looks much weaker, a little maid wearing a maid outfit. The girl at the front desk murmured, but the manager is in front of the chairman, she is like a maid. Bella said, Chairman, haha, I only know how to hold a cat and drink black tea all day long, or sit by the window and read a book. Gentleness is very gentle, and I will always invite you to drink black tea. But how can I put it, completely there is no image and dignity. The manager and the chairman are friends and sisters. It is not the manager who is afraid of the chairman, nor the manager who is the chairman's maid. The little girl at the front desk responded twice. She had just entered the company not long ago and couldn't tell her anything. Bella looked into the distance and continued, that man, said to be the husband of the manager and the chairman, how is that possible? The manager is pursued by many people, but she is not hypocritical with any man. The chairman is much gentler. For her, black tea and a cat should be enough, and she doesn't need a man. As for them, they can't just come here to find trouble, they are probably the manager's friends. I just think it's not good to make that kind of joke. I heard that the manager is actually a ship girl. Bella has been in the company for a long time, and she knows a lot of inside information. She nodded, yes, the manager is a ship girl. Originally, our company was engaged in things related to the sea, security, logistics, etc. You see, many people in the company are very beautiful. Well, all of them are ship girls. You reminded me that those girls, except for the men, are all beautiful, so they should be the admiral and the ship girls. Manager, what model? It seems to be the battle cruiser Renown, I don't quite understand, and the chairman is the battle cruiser Hood. The front desk asked, is it really possible? The ship girl will not leave the admiral's side once she has won, and the company has been open for a long time. The front desk nodded, then they maybe come here to salvage the ship. Well, you don't know, there are some admirals. Ha! Whenever they see a ship girl, they call me wife. What kind of reputation is my wife? Duke of York my wife, U-156 my wife, Lexington me wife. This shit has nothing to do with him. He screams everywhere all the time, especially the African admiral. They should only dare to shout from behind. If you shout in front of someone, you should be kicked, or at least slapped. While they were talking, they saw their manager coming down from upstairs and stopping in front of a few people. The little maid was waving, while the manager spoke a few words face to face with the man named Sugu. The front desk said, they seem to know each other beforehand. Maybe. Now that man named Sugu will never dare to call the manager's wife. I definitely don't dare to. The girl at the front desk pursed her lips and smiled, and then suddenly saw her manager take a step back, put one hand on his chest, and bowed. After saying a few more words, the little maid hugged her manager, which was nothing. But in the end, I saw the man also reaching out and hugging his manager. At the same time, her manager also reached out and hugged the other party, and her expression was a little confused for a moment. Bella, look. I'm looking. Bella, you said. I have no idea. On the other side, Sugu was originally standing by the wall looking at the paintings hanging on the wall. After waiting for a long time, he first felt someone tugging on his sleeve, and then heard a counterattack saying softly, "Admiral, sister is here," then it's my sister's reputation. He turned around and immediately saw an urban beauty with short blonde hair, wearing a suit and a hip skirt approaching. Compared with Richelieu, Bismarck, and Missouri, he is not so tall, but his figure appears plump and fleshy. Even though she wasn't wearing a maid uniform, it was easy to tell that this was her reputation through her similar appearance to counterattack and her heterochromatic eyes. Sugu saw Sheng Sheng walking in front of him, his expression changed a lot, and finally settled down. "Admiral, your reputation has been waiting for you for a long time." Sugu responded, "Hello, reputation." Then he took a step back, bowed, and greeted him in the same way as he counterattacked. "Welcome back, master." The counterattack suddenly became excited. It was his sister, and she rushed up and gave her a hug. After a moment, he let go and looked at Sugu. While Sugu saw the anticipatory look in his eyes, he heard Missouri's muttering behind him, "Hey, hey, it's your turn." In the movie, when the hero and heroine reunite after a long absence, they should hug each other no matter what. The head maid, his own head maid, Sugu's head felt a little hot, he stretched out his hand to hug Sheng Sheng, his body was very soft. I'm back. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 576. The other person would probably like a hug, so Sugu did it. After all, he was a stranger before, but hugging a stranger still made him feel slightly uncomfortable. After a simple hug and then letting go, reputation looked as usual. Then Sugu stood in the hall and talked about his experience. Soon after he finished speaking, he started talking about reputation. "I left with Hood, separated from my sister, and did a lot of things. Perhaps on a whim, Hood wanted to do business, so let's do business. But she soon lost interest. There were many reasons for this. In the intrigues of business wars, Miss Hood's character was really not suitable. It probably sounds a bit like that. It's an exaggeration. It's just a small fight, not a business war at all. In addition, Hood's luck, being a eldest lady, seems to be a grind, and her eyesight is bad, and problems frequently occur at work. It doesn't have much to do with it, just leave all the problems to reputation. She just needs to hold ginger every day, maybe hold fish cakes every day. I have done a lot of business and traveled to many places. I used to have contact with counterattack, but then it was interrupted. I wanted to go and look for her, but in the end I had no choice. But don't worry, as my sister, of course she will always be there no matter what difficulties she encounters. No problem. It's a pity now that I think about it. If we had all been in contact, we should have returned to the townhouse long ago. Finally we came to the city and opened this company. We had something to do outside, and then we rushed back to the company. Then we learned that Royal Oak had left, and also learned about the news about the town hall, and we have been waiting. In fact, at first we wanted to go there as soon as possible, but Royal Oak had already left, and the time to leave was not long. Short. Hood added, If we leave directly and Admiral comes over, we will probably miss you again, so we can only wait and see again. Think about it, we are not fine, we are not just waiting. Like Royal Oak, there are many people following us in the town hall. They are now working in the company. But unlike Royal Oak, many people are very good at work. They have tasks outside, and we have to wait for them. Wait until they come back and tell them about you, and there will be no more missions in the future. There are also companions from the garrison, but they are not in the company, but in nearby cities. We will contact them occasionally, and we still need to inform them. The company can't let it go casually. There are still many things, but now they have basically been arranged. Ever since I learned about you, I have started to do this kind of thing. If you don't come over, we will have to do something at the end of the month. After talking a lot, Reputation finally realized that it was inappropriate for everyone to be in the hall, and there was another more important thing. The Admiral hasn't met Hood yet. Sugu said, "Is Huda the chairman of the company? I'll take you to see her, but before that I go to change some clothes. Counterattack, come here and bring the box where you put your clothes." Royal Oak was lying on the coffee table in the corner of the hall, drowsy. Sugu watched Reputation and Counterattack leave. He saw them talking to a man with a girl before going upstairs. Without saying a few words, Reputation and Counterattack left. Disappeared into the corridor. Then the man stood at the front desk and spoke, looking towards himself as he spoke. To a certain extent, Missouri is really an unscrupulous person. She said, "We can go now. Let's go to the front desk to scare the little girl. Just say, you didn't believe it before, but now you believe it. You are offended if you marry the husband of the manager and chairman, don't think about continuing to work in the future." Sugu said, go, you have a hateful face." Originally it was just a casual mention, but Missouri really had no interest in going there to scare people. And the so-called scare will be treated as a fool in the end. She said, "It's better to forget it." With his hands behind his back, Missouri suddenly whispered, "Speaking of it, I feel that the Reputation is different from what I imagined. I am neither handsome nor chic. I am very disappointed." Sugu was dumbfounded. This is normal, how can it be possible for every move to be handsome and chic? Bismarck is very handsome, but unfortunately she is getting softer now. It was the first time I saw her wearing a skirt that day, a dress that looked soft and soft. Fortunately, she only wore it once. Richelieu is very handsome, like a knight's aim, just don't talk to her about you. Tennessee is handsome, really handsome, think about it, if they didn't have breasts, they would be even more handsome if they wore men's clothes. I don't mind if they are handsome or not, and I don't care if they wear men's clothes, but it's not good if they don't have breasts. Missouri spread her hands. Man, your name is terrible, by the way, what do you think of my breasts?" Sugu glanced at it, "Not bad. Want to touch it?" The two of them were used to joking, and Sugu didn't mind revealing his true feelings, "I think so." Missouri suddenly laughed, "Let's do this. You let Xiao Zai sleep with me at night, and I will touch you." "No, you are not worth a hair of Xiaozai." It was clear that Missouri would not keep his word. "It's so ugly to talk, but I'm still very charming." He flipped his hair. While talking and waiting for fame and counterattack, an accident happened. Missouri suddenly pushed Sugu and said, "There is someone here who looks like he is looking for you and has bad intentions. Maybe he is your competitor and an admirer of prestige. Praise to my ship girl, reputation to my wife, you are a forced competitor." Sugu turned around and immediately saw the man who had been talking to the front desk approaching. Blonde, blue-eyed, tall, but not very handsome. "The girl next to me looks very beautiful. From this look, I guess she is probably a ship girl. Hello." Sugu also nodded, "Hello." The man smiled and said, I am one of the shareholders here and serve as the deputy manager. There are many shareholders in this company. In addition to me, there is an admiral, and there is another who is not an admiral but a local noble viscount, and then the ship girl. The headquarters also has shares in it, but the chairman is still Hu Dihao, who founded the company in the first place. Sugu had heard Royal Oak talk about it before, but the confused girl didn't understand much at all. When I came here, I saw the company. At least there was a lobby and a front desk. It was obvious that it was not a small company. I guess it's not easy to run a company like this with just a few people. What's more, I just heard Sheng Sheng briefly talk about it, so I wasn't surprised. Unable to comment on the company, Sugu could only introduce himself. I am the admiral. The man interrupted him and said, I heard that you are Kamiya's husband. In our words, we still call it reputation. I heard that you are her admiral, and she is your wedding ship, right? Yes, I am her admiral. Sugu paused. You should be an admiral too. I am an admiral, but I don't have a garrison. Sugu was slightly startled, and the man continued, it doesn't matter if there is a garrison or not. If you have a ship girl following you, you are an admiral. I joined the company mainly because my garrison was attacked by a deep-sea ship girl before. My garrison is not very strong. There are 2 more deep-sea battle cruisers among the enemy. They go straight to my garrison. Otherwise, they can only hide in the underground fortress, or they can only send ship girls to divert and request support. I am just an admiral, how can I not have it? During the battle, we hid in the underground fortress and sent out the ship girls. The enemy is very strong. Sugu hesitated for a moment, not knowing why the other party mentioned this, and then heard the other party's voice. Are you thinking that the enemy is very strong and the garrison has suffered a lot of losses? Then I feel discouraged. Did you give up on becoming an admiral? Sugu pursed his lips. He had indeed thought about it this way, otherwise it would be difficult to explain why he gave up becoming an admiral. No ship girl has sunk. My ship girl is still working in the company. The townhouse has not been destroyed. My townhouse is also in the Phoenix Strait. Phoenix also means phoenix and phoenix. It's just right. Although the garrison was defeated steadily by the attacks of the deep-sea ship girls, it encountered support. Yes, the person who supported me was the Renown. The enemy was vulnerable to her hands. At that time, she was still wearing a suit-made outfit. I was thinking, what a coincidence. The 2 deep-sea battle cruisers, I wonder if they are the deep-sea Scharnhorst and Gneisenau sisters. Then, just like in the history of the old world, the reputation is 1 against 2. It was rumored for a while that Nelson broke out of the waves on the 29th. I was very grateful for the support. I heard that reputation had opened a company, so I invested money and became one of the shareholders. Later I gave up the garrison and resigned from the job of admiral. Completely entered the company and became deputy manager. Hearing this, to be honest, Sugu's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that what he said next might not be pleasant. He raised his voice and said, that's it? The reputation is still very powerful. After all, I gave the ring to her and she was on the wedding ship. For sustenance. When I joined the company was not very big. It was quite difficult at first. It was not that easy. Although Huda was the chairman and the big boss, she didn't do anything at all. She basically relied on her reputation and mainly on one person's real ability. It was very difficult. I became the deputy manager, responsible for developing business in the south, and she was responsible for developing business in the north. It is not until today that the company has achieved its current results. To be honest, my ability is not very strong, and it is not as good as my merits. Prestige. So she is the manager and I am the deputy manager. I have no objection at all. I have always cooperated with her, and now the 2 of us have gradually become in harmony. Sugu emphasized again, My family's reputation is based on the character who can't take any time off. To be honest, I have always been curious. You are her admiral. Why have I never seen you before? There was a slight accident, but it will be fine in the future. I will take good care of her from now on. How long have you been away? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Hearing the other party's tone getting heavier and heavier, Sugu frowned and his face turned slightly cold. Ha, this has nothing to do with you. What problem can make an admiral leave the ship girl for so long? When we encounter a problem, why can't we all solve it together? The voice became louder. Sugu only saw that the other party's expression became excited and his voice became louder and louder. After thinking about it, I can only think of one thing. You were terminally ill and were afraid of letting the ship girl know, so you left quietly alone. I can understand this. After all, we are not like ship girls. Human beings will be affected by birth, aging, illness and death, and there is nothing we can do about it. But I think you are fine now and in good health. Sugu smiled, or rather faked a smile. I am indeed very healthy, and I will live happily with the ship girl for many years in the future. Now that you've left, why are you coming back? The tall man smiled. That's great. You can come when you want, and leave when you want. As an admiral, you should understand that if you lose an admiral, a ship girl should have how painful. And then, what did you do? I told you there was an accident. Tell me, tell me. Sugu suddenly saw that the other person's face became excited, and he stretched out his hands to tighten his clothes at the collar. He has met many admirals in the past, and most of them are calm people who can become admirals. Come to think of it, it's probably true, as Missouri said, that he loves prestige. Think about it, the admiral is also a human being, with joy, anger, and sorrow. And among so many admirals, having an impulsive person doesn't mean anything. Let go. He never likes to cause trouble, and will take the initiative to take a step back when encountering trouble if possible. However, just because the other party is unwilling to give in, it does not mean that he is afraid of things. But before he reached out to slap the other person's palm away, he noticed something reaching out from the corner of his eye. A cold voice sounded, "Let him go, you are being rude to my master." Sugu turned his head and saw a big gun like a model ship pressed against the opponent's head. The owner of the big gun was Prestige. Wearing a white hairband, tie, and a black skirt with lantern sleeves, paired with a white apron, white gloves, black silk, and round-toe high heels, Reputation suddenly changed into a maid outfit. It's just a little tight, obviously it's a counter-attack maid outfit. Seeing the Reputation of the maid costume, the man's expression became even more angry. Your admiral, your master, abandoned you for so long, and now he comes back, and then you want to follow him again. You don't need to worry about our affairs. We worked together for a long time and I thought we were friends. We're friends, just friends, and I'm friends with a lot of people. What if I don't let go? He said with a fierce look on his face. Due to the sudden appearance of fame, Sugu was stunned for a moment. Only then did I react. I wanted to say that if you don't let go, I can only fight back. After all, after training for so long, I still have the confidence. But before he could make a move, Sheng Sheng took the big gun in his hand and lightly hit it, and then bullied him with a beautiful over-the-shoulder throw. Sheng Sheng put down the big gun in his hand, lifted up the corner of his skirt with one hand, bowed slightly, and said, "I'm very sorry, but you shouldn't do that." The girl standing nearby saw her admiral being attacked and rushed forward. Seeing this scene from the corner of his eye, Sheng Sheng took a big gun and hit him back, kicked him away, and took aim with the gun. "Put away your weapons, put away your ship's equipment, or I won't mind beating you until you are broken." She looked at Sugu. "Master, is everything okay? I'm really sorry that something like this happened." He looked at Missouri again and crouched down. "Missouri, Please protect the Admiral as much as possible in the future. No, leave it to me. Sugu stood nearby, biting his lip. The action he just performed was so neat, without any sloppiness. Seeing such a scene, a sentence suddenly came to his mind. Without the prestige of wearing a maid uniform, she is not a head maid at all. Rather than saying that they met at the beginning, it is better to say that this is the official meeting, and this is the head maid. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 577. Master, don't worry about those people. Everyone walked upstairs together. Sugu had already carefully looked at the reputation. The reputation of wearing a black and white maid outfit is like a counterattack. Actually, it should be said that it is a counterattack against her sister who has been imitating her. The counterattack is like a reputation. No matter what, compared to the original suit and hip-covering skirt, which looks just like Zeppelin, the maid outfit makes people feel like she is the head maid. Sugu said, I don't care. He doesn't have the slightest fondness for the person who attacks his ship girl, but after all, he is no longer a young boy, so he can't be so impulsive in anything he does. For example, I know some people who, if they had an argument in junior high school, would just put the bowl on the other person's head. As I grew up and started working, I became more honest, more knowledgeable, and more concerned. Otherwise, it will be fun to be happy, but it will cause trouble later and make everyone worry. Of course, he didn't bully his ship girl, and it wasn't to the point where he needed to fight back directly. Finally, when he wanted to fight back, reputation took action first before he could fight back. I had just arrived after changing my clothes, and I saw him tightening his grip on your clothes. What on earth were you arguing about? Needless to say, I also know what it was about. He does not belittle himself, he is very clear about his own charm and the thoughts of the company's deputy manager. I just refused, reminded, and became restrained, but I didn't expect it to explode suddenly. Sugu waved his hand, it's okay, but if you encounter this kind of thing in the future, leave it to me. After all, I am the Admiral. Master said yes, the reputation will be remembered. This time I also believe that you will solve the problem in the end, but as your maids, we cannot see you being provoked and remain indifferent. You want to protect us, but I want to protect you. Sugu said, if he does this, I will beat him immediately next time. Beat or not be beaten, Master, you just have to do what you want to do. But if I do it, you will be happy, Sugu thought to himself. Generally speaking, everyone would be happy when they see the person they like fighting for him. Yes, reputation will be very happy, but reputation is no longer a little girl. Little girls always think that their fathers are weak and their boyfriends are heroic, just because they have different considerations and concerns. In the end, it is the father who can really support a family. Sugu twitched his lips, I am the Admiral, not my father. The one who supports a family also has a husband. Sugu felt shy and said, speaking of which, your over-the-shoulder throw was too simple. Will he be fine? No matter what his ship girl did, he would stand up bravely when necessary. It's just that I can't help but worry. If something bad happens, I'll have to go to the gendarmerie. Of course, for the other party to be knocked down neatly by reputation, without considering the consequences, just feel happy in your heart. Shang Xing said, after all, we are also friends. I have controlled the strength and will not break bones. But on the cement floor, I don't know anything else. Oh my friend. All luggage was left at the front desk. There was nothing too valuable and there was no need to carry it with me. Only Missouri still brought the spoils. It was the only precious thing in the world, so it was better to be careful, even if it was safe, she couldn't bear to let it go. Counterattack wore white gloves and walked behind. "Admiral, what my sister said about friends is just friends. It seems that many people have friends, it doesn't mean anything." She was afraid that the Admiral would misunderstand her sister's reputation, which felt like a plot in many novels. The second male expressed his love for the second female, and the first male was about to beat up the second male. The first female wanted to stop him because she was friends with the second male. Finally, the first male suspected that the female had feelings for the second male, and then a misunderstanding arose. Just thinking about it again, this time it should be said that the first girl beat the second guy, but the main reason for the beating was that the second guy wanted to do harm to the first guy. Well, she didn't understand, and it would be chaotic to care at all. Sugu hadn't said anything yet. How could a little maid like you have so many ideas? Sheng Sheng, who was leading the way, stopped and looked back at her sister, thinking that she was still too young. She said, "Such a trivial matter does not need to be explained at all. We should trust our master." The counterattack fell into silence, and Sugu nodded. If he couldn't even give him this little trust, he would be too sensitive as an admiral. "That's right. But I wanted to fight back at first, but you moved too fast. Master, your character has been bullied. The first thing you want to do is to take a step back to open up the world, but even if you take a step back and nothing happens, it will still be uncomfortable. So I chose to take action, so that you can think more clearly." Sugu asked curiously, "What would you have done if I had directly hit you with my backhand?" "You can do whatever you want. There is no reason for a maid to stop the master. But please leave the finishing work to reputation. What if I make a big mistake? There's always a way to solve it." Sugu thought to himself, "Lexington is obedient, but many things will still control you. What your reputation looks like is entirely up to you, so you can clean up the mess afterwards." He began to believe that sentence. Even if you want to forcefully push down and fight back, your reputation as a sister will not stop you, but will help you, and even help comfort or persuade you to put on a coat and cry on the bed to fight back. If the Admiral likes you, he will forcefully push you down. Just obey the Admiral, this is our fate as maids." Sugu said, "My head maid?" "Yes, your head maid." Silently silent all this time, Missouri looked at Renchen's back and thought to herself, Lexington is going to be completely in trouble. This is the upgraded max version of the counterattack. Walking up the stairs into the corridor, instead of continuing to discuss outsiders, everyone continued to talk about Hood. "Consultant Su, you said that Huda is not involved in the company's operations. What does she usually do in the company? Drink tea or read a book?" Along the way, I found many company employees looking at my group in surprise, without paying much attention. Consultant Su said, "The ginger fish cake should be with her. Hood carries ginger fish cakes with him wherever he goes." Thinking of Odin's complaints, Sugu said with a smile, "She must have snatched it from Odin before, and then only gave it to Odin's diesel engine. You have left. Ginger and fish cakes are her sustenance." Smirking, Sugu couldn't ask about his reputation after all, and whether Hood would stuff the cat or not. "I have asked many people before, but the answers were quite perfunctory. Don't worry, you'll see Hood later anyway. Regardless of the ginger fish cake, it shouldn't matter if you ask the other cat." Sugu said, "When we return to the town hall, I wonder if Hood will quarrel with Bismarck." "Won't." In the garrison, Bismarck was at odds with the Prince of Wales all day long. Unexpectedly, Bismarck and Hood had a better relationship. Although they don't quarrel, they don't necessarily like each other. On the other side, I put down the book I had been reading for a long time, and now Hood is sitting by the window of the office. There is a table here with black tea and snacks on it, which were brought over by Sheng Sheng in the morning. Taking a sip of black tea, she thought to herself that it was a great decision to leave with her reputation, Everything was arranged properly. The only bad thing is that now that I have started a company, I will teach people a lesson. I usually want to do something simple, treat everyone to send snacks and drink tea. Then I was told that as a chairman, a leader must have the dignity of a leader. Otherwise, you will become one with the employees and wait until the employees are no longer afraid of you, which will be detrimental to management. This is a company, not a town hall, not a home, and they cannot be confused. It's so troublesome, but it's best to drink black tea quietly. Finally, thinking about it, I am not actually unqualified. To be a great leader, I just need to know people and make good use of them. She picked up another scone and put it in her mouth, smiling. The reason for the smile is not only that the scones are delicious, but also because I have asked about my reputation and many things have been taken care of. If the admiral comes, everyone will go back together. If the admiral never comes, then everyone will have to set off back to the garrison soon. Speaking of the town hall, Hood stroked the ginger sleeping on his thigh, lowered his head and saw the fish cakes spinning around his legs. Ginger and fish cakes, your life is still happy. You don't have to think about anything every day, you don't have to catch mice, you just bask in the sun every day, you are leisurely. Fish cake, Ginger, when you return to the town hall, don't play with Oscar. That cat is too bad. No, both cats are too bad. Cat, cat, plug the cat. Hood bent down and picked up the fish cake, held it in his arms and rubbed his face. He suddenly remembered that he used to be called Cathood by the admiral. She was not angry, but instead showed a funny expression. Admiral is really good at slandering people, but he doesn't know how to stuff a cat. Wherever you want to go for a walk, keep the cat in your pocket. What if it starts meowing on the way? What if it starts to move on the way? Do you want to hear people say, Hood, your chest is moving again, haha, I don't want it? My breasts, even if they are not as good as those of the Prince of Wales, Fuzu, and Helena, are still so impressive. No matter whether they are Veneto or Maryland, such battleships are completely incomparable to mine. Among all the admirals, I am a little weaker. If they all became wedding ships because of their breasts, then I am the only one who became wedding ships because of my elegance, intelligence, beauty, and kindness. Boys like girls. They can like a girl's bright smile, they can like a girl sitting on the back seat of a bicycle with her white skirt fluttering, and they can like the way a girl sits elegantly in the garden drinking black tea. But no matter how you think about it, if you just like a girl's breasts, it's too superficial. Ginger, fish cakes, cats, cats. While talking to himself, Hood raised the cute fish cake in his hand and looked at the ginger again. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 578. Not to mention the confused Royal Oak, Missouri actually seemed a bit casual compared to Sugu and Hood. She picked out her long brown hair and looked around her back and forth, up and down, left and right. The office looks nice, except there is no bed, making it feel like a girl's room. I didn't see a single document on the desk, only pots of beautiful potted plants. Similarly, I saw no documents in the filing cabinet, only a book, and all kinds of them. Otherwise, there are some decorations, red wine, a complete tea set, the steering wheel of the ship, a gramophone, etc. Of course she saw it too, with the battle cruiser Admiral Hood sitting next to it. It is undeniable that the Hood was unlucky in history. There are too many dark histories, such as thinking that Prince Eugen was Bismarck, or being sunk by Bismarck in 2 or 3 blows. However, it must be admitted that it is a powerful battle cruiser in itself. As the glory of the Royal Navy, it has experienced too much history and has many expectations. Now it is a rare and powerful existence to become a ship girl. If any garrison can be built and salvaged, the running water mat can be placed for 10 days and a half. Missouri had seen more than one Hood, and she thought that the hood in front of her was a little different from the hoods she had seen. Her waist-length blonde hair is more dazzling, and she wears a pair of lower-rimmed glasses. Her figure is taller, her appearance is more dignified, and her temperament is more elegant. These are not two obvious differences. The hood in front of him is wearing a scarf, and the size of his chest is really not bad. Each ship girl looks different, but there are some things in common that are difficult to change. Like the battleship Veneto, 10,000 Veneto can have 10,000 looks, but all 10,000 Veneto are short, flat-chested, pseudo-lowly, and there is no chance of a mature lady. Hood has a flat chest. It's really surprising that the hood in front of him has such a level. Someone once said that Hood was not flat-chested, but she would not believe it. However, after staying in the garrison for a long time, the silver-gray short-haired Bismarck was not a light aircraft carrier but an aircraft carrier raider, especially the cutest little house in the world. I had never seen or heard of him. If it were this garrison, it would not be impossible for a busty Hood to appear. This figure is really great, enough to score 90 points, but the deduction points are still somewhere. One hand was placed under the chest, and the other hand was holding the black teacup. He gently picked it up and put it to his lips and took a sip. The teacup was put down, and her lips became moist. It has to be said that just from the action of drinking tea, Hood is calm, elegant and dignified, and the temperament of a British noble lady is fully displayed. But unlike her appearance, there was only a mess in her head. So stupid, why would you want to try what it feels like to stuff a cat? After all, it was just bad luck. The admiral didn't come early or late. He just stepped on the spot. It was all the fault of the reputation. I just knocked on the door and came in. Well, it's not because of the reputation, it's already in the office, and knocking on the door is enough, but where can I get the cat out in a short time? If it's just an outsider, it's better to serve tea to see the guests off. It doesn't matter if we only have reputation, we are all good sisters. However, only the admiral can't do it. He has been laughed at before and must not be discovered again, otherwise he will never be able to hold his head up again. In fact, he also knows that being discovered is a certainty, but he must not be discovered on the spot. From reputation led everyone to find Hood, sitting on the sofa next to the coffee table in the corner of the office. Not a short time had passed. Of course, Sugu didn't know about Hood's entanglement, and was just making every necessary introduction. I met Xiao Zai in the abandoned town mansion, and then we. Hood stretched out his hand to smooth the hair of the fish cake, and tried his best to put on a dignified smile. Well, Zai is really lucky. I also want to be the first to meet the admiral. Now that Bismarck and the Prince of Wales serve as the flagship, I actually considered letting the Bizai be the flagship, but the Bizai didn't want to. She just wants to rest all day long. Hood was staring at Sugu and thought to himself, so Admiral, I already knew you were a pervert. And since we haven't seen each other for such a long time, you should maintain a gentlemanly manner when you meet again after a long separation. You can't always stare at a girl's breasts, even if you don't stare directly at them. If you notice them, you should always glance around while looking around. Don't ask me where the ginger went. Temporarily relieved, Hood said, the Prince of Wales is more suitable to serve as a flagship than a certain cat. In a difficult battle, the role of the flagship killer is only two unbreakables. Leave the mission of the flagship to me in the future. Many people in the garrison are talking about you, such as Firefly, Amethyst, Kent, London, York. Anyway, everyone is thinking about you. After all, you are the proud royal flagship of the British Empire, HMS Hood. Ha, the fourth ship of the British Empire. Core. I miss them too. Hood felt that his movements were a little stiff. After all, his posture had not changed. Under normal circumstances, you can't always perform the same action, but if you don't do such an action, the movement of the left hand lowering the chest to support the chest will become too obvious, and people will know that there is something wrong at a glance. The Prince of Wales originally wanted to come together, but when the Royal Oak came, the counter-attack also came. Richelieu also wanted to come. Think about it, in fact, not only do you have a bad relationship with Bismarck, you should also have a bad relationship with Richelieu. How about it? I'm really worried that you guys are going to be rude. They don't take it with them. It's not just for these reasons. The main reason is, I forgot to introduce it to you. This is the USS Missouri, our companion battleship that has recently joined our garrison. Without changing his expression, Hood showed a dignified smile towards Missouri. Nice to meet you. It turns out to be Missouri. She has long brown hair, is pretty, and has big breasts. The worst part is that, from the beginning, I have been staring at people, especially at their breasts. Is there anything interesting to see? No more. Zhang Zhen moved again. Fortunately, the scarf blocked it, so he probably didn't notice it. Please, my cutest ginger. Nice to see you too. After hearing Missouri's words, Hood suddenly realized that there was not much tea left in the black tea cup in his hand. Without black tea, he could no longer pose. But it is inconvenient to pour tea. If you move too much, the ginger will move. I can't move or scream. This is absolutely not enough. Looking around, Royal Oak is still in a daze, and Reputation and Counterattack are preparing tea. Who should be asked to pour a cup of black tea? Then I heard a heavenly voice, Hood, I've finished drinking, can I add a little more for you? The hand placed under the chest must not move. Hood carefully stretched out the hand holding the black tea. Thank you, Admiral. No, this is what I should do. You are the Admiral, we should take care of you. How could such an irresponsible Admiral be away for such a long time? Speaking of which, Hood, I'm really sorry. Hood said quickly, you have already apologized before, and I forgive you. It doesn't matter. We believe that the Admiral left for a reason. As long as he comes back, it will be fine. There is no need to apologize to me again and again. I am not angry anymore. Seeing the apologetic expression on the Admiral's face, he must have looked a bit intimidating to strangers. If it's normal, Hood will prepare some black tea for you. It's already a wedding ship, so even a kiss doesn't matter. I have always thought that if we meet, I want to rest on your shoulder, a broad shoulder. But it really doesn't work, not today. Sugu saw something was wrong with Hood and asked, are you feeling a little uncomfortable? Hood shook his head gently, I'm not uncomfortable, after all, I am a ship girl. He couldn't go on like this, and the Admiral began to worry about himself. We have to find a reason to let the Admiral leave temporarily. What reason should be better? Royal Oak has become sleepy. You should send her home to sleep first. The Reputation and Counterattack have never come back. Admiral, please go and urge me. I'll show you around the company, you take the first step. No, every reason seemed inappropriate. Rubbing his forehead, Hood finally thought of it, but he couldn't laugh at all. He just let go of his hand for a moment, and suddenly felt the ginger slide from his chest to his lower abdomen, and then a meowing sound came out. Her dignified face suddenly turned red, with a panicked expression on her face. Seeing the confused expression on her Admiral's face, she was sure that she had seen and heard it. He reached behind his back and picked up the cushion he had been leaning against and threw it at me. I didn't want to live anymore. It was not long ago, her breasts had shrunk, the two cats Ginger and Fishcake were sleeping on her lap, and the elegant and dignified eldest Lady Hood's face was red and her eyes were misty. I just wanted to try it, not stuff the cat. Seeing Hood lowering his head, although he was snickering in his heart, Sugu nodded, I know. Originally, I had been thinking that Hood should have the image of a dignified young lady. When I came here to see it, It was indeed the case. She has long golden hair and a beautiful headband on her forehead. Compared with the excitement of many people seeing her for the first time, her movements were not hurried or slow, and the elegance of a noble lady was fully displayed. When I saw Hood, out of curiosity, I looked at the chest. After all, it was a cat named Hood. At first glance, the shape of her breasts cannot be seen due to the scarf. Of course, they are not as wealthy as the Prince of Wales and Helena, but they are not too bad. Obviously there is no such amount of milk in the game, which makes people wonder if it is stuffed with cats. Think about it, normal people would not do such a thing as stuffing a cat, and Hood looks so elegant and dignified that it even makes people think that he should be a gentleman. If he stuffs a cat, his style will really change. However, thinking about it again, it is really difficult to compare the ship girl with normal people, and it is not necessarily true that she is a cat. But after all, I can't go up and ask, even if the other party is my wedding ship. After talking for a while, I saw Hood rubbing his forehead. He seemed to have thought of something and became excited again. Then the next thing I saw, the girl's breasts fell to her stomach, and the scene was really scary. The dazed royal oak was already sleeping on the sofa. She looked so cute. She didn't know anything. Missouri said with a straight face that he wanted to wander around and left, disappearing from the office. Judging from her hunched shoulders, she was probably afraid that she would not be able to suppress her laughter on the spot. Really, Admiral, you have to believe me. Sugu was sitting by the sofa and saw Hood leaning over the coffee table, grabbing his hand with both hands. The expression on his face was almost pleading, and said, "Really, Admiral, you must believe me. I'm not stuffing a cat, you've been saying that I'm stuffing cats, so I wanted to give it a try, and then you guys just came." Sugu's expression remained unchanged. "I believe it. You can't say it, definitely not in the garrison, especially not to Bismarck and Prince Eugen. This matter can be used as a topic for private discussion, but Suguhan can't do it as a gossip, but it is also possible that he would hug Bismarck at night and talk about Hood, and then bring this matter out. It's just that Hood has behaved like this, so of course Sugu has to give a positive answer. I won't tell, in fact, even if they find out, nothing will happen." Hood's expression became aggrieved, and his voice changed from an intellectual big sister to a little girl, anxious and naive. "I said I can't say it, I just can't say it, absolutely can't say it." Bismarck's military style was not one for gossip. But if she knew, she would always look at me strangely. To be honest, you and Bismarck, it's best to let the past go as it is. You are already ship girls after all. Hood sighed and said slightly angrily, "How can I forget it so easily? They always laugh at me about the past. Especially Eugen Wanwan always likes to say that I have bad eyes, am short-sighted, and have bad eyesight." These words reminded Sugilai of the photos he had seen on the internet in the past. The bruised Hood was sitting on the ground with mosquito-repellent eyes, looking like he was about to die. Then Sheng Shen knelt next to him and said, "Hey, Hood-chan, wake up, it's just a scratch." The picture is funny, just like in the game, the Hood actually turns into mosquito repellent after taking a little damage. In fact, I still feel that the picture is missing one of Hood's words, "My life is at stake. If I don't decide on internal affairs, I should ask my reputation, and if I don't decide on foreign affairs, I should ask the prince." Hood continued, "And every time they see me, they say that the ammunition depot was killed in the explosion, and they also say that I am lucky. I don't want to be unlucky. It's just Bismarck, it's just Prince Eugen." Sugu thought of a picture again. Hood caught the flying cannonball with his hands clasped together, and then there was blood on his forehead. Another photo came to mind. Hood's face was blushing, his hair was messy, and he covered his chest with his hands. Beside her, Prince Eugen and Bismarck were lying on the bed, looking like they were after the incident. Prince Eugen said, "It's delicious." Hood sauce. Bismarck said, "Thank you for the hospitality." They. Hood couldn't stop talking, and her expression became more and more aggrieved. At this time, she was completely different from the originally dignified young lady. In the end, she couldn't bear it anymore and cried so hard that she lay on the coffee table. "Well, Admiral, I really don't want to live anymore." Sugu saw Hood's shoulder twitching and could only comfort him. "Hood-chan, have some courage." Lucky instant explosion, short-sightedness. "Admiral, you definitely don't like me anymore." Hood's voice was muffled. What else could he do? Sugu said, "I like it. Of course I like Hood. But the breasts are so small, and they are stuffed with cats. Small breasts are a rare resource." Hood raised his head cautiously. "It's not Veneto, Hood is not a, he needs to be even better. Take a breath, Hood-chan, your image is completely ruined, but you are so cute." Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai-de Rong Yan. Chapter 579. For Sugu, the impression of Hood in the game is that of a gentle and virtuous young lady, who is like a star in the Royal Navy. Then the first real look at Hood gave people the impression of a British aristocratic lady. It's just that she never imagined that she would stuff a cat inside her chest, even though the girl kept explaining that she just wanted to try it. It can't be such a coincidence. Sugu has always believed in this sentence, and if he finds it once, he thinks it is 100 times, so Hood has stuffed the cat at least 100 times. Considering the inconvenience of movement, it is difficult for the cat to move around outside. Think about Hood's character: stuff the cat, sit quietly and feel your own greatness. A person can still be happy. Later, when the trap was revealed, Hood's face turned red, and the dignified young lady became cute. Especially when he recounted his pitiful experience of being bullied, he felt extremely aggrieved. Tears welled up in his eyes. He lay down on the coffee table and buried his head in his hands. Finally, he raised his head with a cautious expression and made a muffled sound. Sugu admitted that he was attracted by Hood at that moment. This contrast of cuteness made people want to stop. However, the cuteness only lasted for a short time. Hood returned to being a eldest lady, and her movements became dignified, elegant, and calm, making people suspect that the person who stuffed the cat just now was an unknown person at all. In the past, I have been struggling with who is the leader and eldest sister of the British fleet. There has never been an accurate answer. Among everyone, the glory of the Royal Navy is definitely Hood. Even though it was unreliable to stuff a cat, to be honest, after a long conversation and listening to Hood's elegant conversation, which was elegant, dignified, calm, and not cute at the same time, Sugu thought that Hood was originally like this. Since he no longer had to worry about cats, Hood sat on the edge of the sofa with the two cats Ginger and Fishcake next to him. He is not as naughty as Bismarck's Oscar and likes to run around. Ginger and Fishcake curl up next to him and sleep with his eyes squinted. As expected, only such an obedient cat can be used as breast filler. Missouri left the office. Royal Oak was purely an outsider, and its reputation and counterattack had not yet returned. Hood picked up the teapot and poured tea for Sugu. After a drink, as the Admiral and the ship's wife, not Party A and Party B, there is no need to sit upright all the time. But it's not easy to leave. After all, there are still many people who haven't come back. Sugu walked around the office and stopped in front of the file cabinet that had been transformed into a bookcase and an exhibition cabinet. Looking at the covers of the books in the cabinet, he had just finished talking about his experiences in establishing the garrison. Since the two of them didn't have much experience living together, it was not good to be quiet. It was just that Sugu didn't know what to say to Hood, so he finally talked about what happened in the town guard mansion. He reached out to straighten his long golden hair and moved the waistcoat on his shoulders. While listening to Sugu's words, Hood showed a dignified smile. Lexington is now the secretary ship. She has always been very powerful. She once arrived at the garrison early and participated in various battles along the way. She is a secretary ship worthy of her name. I have always wanted to be good friends with her sister, but it always feels a little worse. London actually went on a trip to practice her cooking skills. It's just a pity that her cooking skills are still the same. The admiral said nonsense that the goddess of dawn became Chung-Ching and her cooking skills became great. It's not the cooking skills of a British ship. You have been cursed. If you don't believe it, Admiral, when you get home, you must try the snacks and the black tea I made for you. Although the craftsmanship is not as good as the reputation, it is all Hood's intention. Kent actually encountered that kind of thing, a hateful boss. There is no way, this world is like this, there are good people, and there is no shortage of evil people. When we started the company, we also encountered many problems and bad people. However, although Kent is weak, the Admiral is there and punishes those who bully Kent. Hood has always believed that the Admiral will protect us. You said that Richelieu wanted to come over and was afraid that we would have a conflict. Yes, actually I feel guilty for her too. But it doesn't matter. If Richelieu is unhappy, I won't fight back if she lets her beat or scold her. I will talk back. The hatred between battleships should not extend to the ship girls. I will work hard to make up for the past. If I have the chance, I would like to walk around with the Admiral. This city has beautiful scenery, and the Admiral must have never seen it. Although there is nothing in the city center, I have always liked the large golden wheat fields in the suburbs, with the scarecrows standing there. In the wheat fields, the wind blows from far away, and the wheat fields look like waves. Well, it seems that you can't see them all season now. But no matter what day, there are beautiful starry skies, and I want to see them with Admiral. Ginger and fish cakes are inseparable from me. No strangers are allowed in. But they are not ordinary cats. They can feel the mood of their owners. I like Admiral, so they will also like you. You can rub their ears. You can also scratch their chins and touch their bellies, but it's best not to pull their tails, they don't like it. You ask them if they are male or female cats. The Admiral is not jealous of cats, he is so cute. They are actually born from the history and memory in steel. Whether they are male cats or female cats depends on you, Admiral. Even if they are female cats, they will not become cat ladies. Lin Xian is not here with us, and we have no contact at all. If we knew about her and where the Prince of Wales was, we would definitely go find the Prince of Wales, and then we would have returned to the town hall early. But she probably went a long time ago, it's somewhere far away, that's why I haven't gone back to take a look, that's why I haven't seen the letter, and that's why I haven't returned to the guard house. Now that there was no cat to restrain her, Hood could move around freely. She sat next to Royal Oak and took care of the sleeping girl's long, jet black hair. There was a look of concern on her face, as if she was looking at her sister dotingly. Speaking of which, the child fell asleep again. She was in a daze every day. It's really hard for her to run so far back to the town hall. Everyone is very cute. The Admiral must take the responsibility of taking care of everyone together with me. The lovely Firefly, the confused Royal Oak, the middle-aged Amethyst, the weak Kent, the Prince of Wales who tries hard to be strong, and there are many more. Seeing Hood sitting next to Royal Oak, Sugushun mentioned that Royal Oak encountered a U-series submarine prank on its way back to the town hall. Then came this sentence, which caused Hood's character to be exposed. It is absolutely not acceptable to describe Hood as a man with a golden exterior and a ruined interior. This is a derogatory term. So it is not appropriate to describe it as simple on the outside and meaningful on the inside. Hood cannot use such complimentary words. It's not good to be beautiful on the outside and wise in the heart, but it's not good to have a blue heart and a clear heart. It's just barely enough to hide things deeply and be inconsistent on the outside and inside. After all, Sugu is a science major, not a liberal arts major. For a moment, I really couldn't think of any words to use to describe Hood. In short, Hood stretched out his hand to adjust his glasses in the sun and said, "The U-series submarines only know pranks every day, U-47 bullies Royal Oak, U-81 bullies Royal Ark. To put it nicely, they are called a wolf pack, but to put it worse, they are just a pack of wolves. I know how to sneak around and steal people, fishy fishy." This opening was out of control. Hood's legs were originally placed together and parallel, but now they were spread out, although the sitting posture was still very beautiful. The eyebrows are raised, and the corner of the mouth on one side of the face is turned up in a contemptuous smile. She also narrowed her eyes slightly, holding the lid of the cup to poke the tea surface little by little. The young lady drinking tea turned into the big man drinking tea. I arrived at the governor's mansion early and knew all about the people and things in the governor's mansion. At the same time, just as the filing cabinet is full of books, Hood is a literary girl who likes to read. Unlike South Dakota, who is obviously uneducated and has no skills, she likes to wear a white skirt and a lace headband, and also wears a pair of full-rim glasses, and then just plain glasses. They're German ships. Hood took a sip of tea. Admiral Hipper can only bully destroyers. For such a big man, he is like a strange ant hanging around Firefly every day. Admiral Hipper's skill in the game is disguised surprise attack, which can also be said to be a destroyer killer. Also in the garrison, except for Fireflies, almost no destroyers dared to be naughty in front of Admiral Hipper. Blucher is confident enough to challenge the coastal defense artillery. You ask her to challenge Bismarck and Tirpitz in the deep sea alone. She has no brains at all. It's really hard to say anything about Blucher. He has a muscular body, cute appearance, and a good personality that is good at taking care of others. The only shortcoming is this. Hood stretched out his left hand and covered his face with the back of his hand, like the standard posture used by ladies and queens in TV dramas to laugh at people. Bismarck, the sea valve, is the world's #1 in German technology. Bismarck, the flagship killer, your attack failed to penetrate the shield. Just the Prince of Wales, just Rodney, just the Ark Royal. Sister Scharnhorst is the #2. You are Nelson. Oh, so you are famous. Eat my triple 283mm cannon. The 11-point firepower is unmatched. The main gun caliber of the Scharnhorst sisters is really small, so I don't really remember it in the game. However, these equipment are the same in reality as in the game. After studying in the academy for so long, they are very clear. Admiral Graf Spee, Braveheart Cultivation Class Battle Cruiser. Reputation, let me tell you, reputation. If you dare to take another step closer, don't blame me for being rude. I'll sink myself for you to see. In history, I was frightened, but I just took the name of prestige, and finally chose to commit suicide. In fact, Spee should not be called timid, but the head maid should be said to be chic and ruthless. This is political correctness. Underpants Squad Z series. Storm wants to be on fire. No, why did I say such strange things? It should be said that Z Drive is stronger. Larishan, I Ajansien, Fuzu Demon, and Ji Shashen, all make way for me. What the hell? Drive, say those who don't know him. Utopia, the king of diving. The Z Driver who is always getting stronger, the eternal warehouse king. The lonely queen of the north, feared by all my enemies. The lonely homegirl of the north. I can read another book, and I want Bismarck in high definition and uncensored. I also want to read the book of Bismarck, who was insulted by the Prince of Wales and Rodney book. There are only copies of Bismarck, Prince Eugen, and Hood. All in all, Sugu saw Huda's excited face and wrote a lot about it. It's really hard to say anything more. Huda, your character is completely destroyed. At the same time, Hood also noticed Sugu, and his image finally recovered. What I said is true. Sugu thought for a while, this should be said to be his wedding ship. He was like this usually. Is this considered a couple's appearance? After this, Hood finally restrained himself. Not long after, there was a knock on the door and the counter-attack came back. She brought a variety of snacks and a pot of black tea. She saw that Hood's breasts had shrunk at a glance. Of course she knew what was going on. It looked like the ship had capsized. Sugu took a piece of snack and asked, "How long have you been there?" Sister made the black tea, but the snacks were bought outside. She put down the things on the coffee table and looked around. "I didn't see Missouri." Huda's face turned red unconsciously, and Sugu said, "I'm going out." "I said I wanted to go out for a walk." Not seeing Reputation next to counterattack, he asked again, "Where's Reputation?" "Sister is delayed because of something. She said she would go and call the sister from the town guard house." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 580. This is the rooftop of the top floor, and a girl with green shoulder-length hair is standing by the guardrail. The purpose of her coming here was not to run errands, nor to get a bird's-eye view of the city. Having lived here for a long time, I know very well that the city does not have very beautiful scenery. There are no tall trees like a canopy, only a row of maple trees in the city center that are pretty good when the red maple leaves fall all over the ground in autumn. There are no majestic castles, and the river is so polluted that people avoid it. There is a cathedral that was only built in modern times. It has no elegant statues and even the murals look a bit ridiculous. Apart from the blue sky and blue sea, there really isn't much to like about it. She came here for no other reason than to relax. Take advantage of your busy work to relax a little. The way to relax is to play music on the rooftop where no one is around. She was holding a bagpipe, not a big bagpipe, but a strange instrument between a cannon and a bagpipe. Well, she is a ship girl. The melodious music started playing. In fact, there was no need for her to come to such a place. The main reason was that the sound of the bagpipes was pleasant to the ear, not an annoying noise. On the contrary, it was enough for the audience to shout for another song. The girl was playing softly, and suddenly a voice rang out, "My sister, when I heard the sound of the bagpipe, I thought you were here." The girl turned around and saw her sister, a blonde girl sitting on the swing. As kanji girls, they are very concerned about enjoying life. Although some kanji girls are also workaholics, most kanji girls are happy to enjoy themselves after work. After all, there are not many pursuits. If one person has enough to eat and the whole family is not hungry, it doesn't matter even if there is moonlight. There is also no need to consider household expenses or the cost of milk powder for the children. Paying attention to the leisurely and petty bourgeoisie life, the company mainly composed of ship girls also planted many plants on the rooftop, and even set up a shelf, so that the shelf was covered with vines. In addition, there is a swing, which of course can only seat one person due to its weight capacity. It's so loud, can you hear it from downstairs? The blonde girl shook her head. I didn't hear it, I just didn't see you, so I thought you must be here. Oh, continue playing. The blonde girl said boredly, you untied your hair instead of tying it into two pigtails. You haven't put on your high black fur crown yet. This kind of weather is just right. But when it comes to summer in a few days, you won't be able to wear it anymore. I don't wear them anymore unless I'm playing. You have been wearing it before. I used to always wear it, and I don't know why. But after I left the town hall, I made people laugh at me every day with my hat on. It was too hot to wear and it was uncomfortable. Even if the weather wasn't hot, I didn't want to wear it. It was so strange. It's okay to wear a plaid skirt, but not a hat. Anyway, if you don't serve as an honor guard, it doesn't matter." As he spoke, the swing swayed, and the blonde girl quickly grasped the chain. For her, although the swing was a bit far from the edge of the building, it would not be dangerous under normal circumstances. However, I was a little scared. When I was playing on the swing on the rooftop, I was worried that everyone would fly out. Falling from upstairs, such a high distance, even a ship girl would be injured. I thought that the head maid had not considered this point. Getting up from the swing, the blonde girl opened her hand, and a baton appeared in her hand. If you look carefully, it should be said to be a mast. "I'll give you instructions, louder. Let's change a song. I'm confident that no one will dislike this one." Sugu and others were still in the office. Counterattack came first and brought refreshments. Her sister's reputation went to find someone. While discussing who was in the company and eating refreshments, Sugu said, "This pudding cake is delicious." Counterattack, who was wearing a maid outfit, stood nearby. She was glared at by Sugu before she sat down and said, "Sister did it." Among the British ships, regardless of London, which is an absolute dark cuisine producer, the other British ships are still at a normal level in making snacks. As for poor cooking skills, there is nothing you can do about it, mainly because, think about it, British cuisine may not be too bad in reality, but outsiders really don't have a good sense of British cuisine. Whether it's prejudice or self-righteousness, this sensory difference has affected the ship girl, and now the British ship's cuisine is cursed. Picking up another snack, Consultant Sue said, "Made with prestige, you just said you bought it outside." "There are only some left, the others are bought from outside." "Well," Sugu was speechless. "You've already started eating." The door opened and Missouri's voice came. She smiled in the corridor outside and just walked around casually. After all, she was in an unfamiliar place. In fact, she had been to the city before and had some impressions of the city. "I remember there was a big square with many white pigeons. I bought a bouquet of flowers from a little girl who was buying flowers. Later, I heard that the girl was not a poor person, and the eldest lady of a noble family thought it was fun." Missouri was very casual and sat down beside the sofa. I turned around and saw at least several ship girls. "Are they all yours?" "No." Sugu heard from Royal Oak that there are all his own ship girls, other admirals' ship girls, and wandering ship girls here. I went for a walk downstairs, and the girl at the front desk kept staring at me. At first, the admiral was also at the front desk, and he didn't seem to be hurt. He also looked at me with squinted eyes. I stared back at him. Just as Sugugu was about to speak, he suddenly heard the sound of music. He couldn't tell what instrument it was. He looked around and found no record player. After a while, I finally realized that these beautiful music cannot be produced by a record player. Where's the sound? Under normal circumstances, Hood still looks like the eldest lady of the British aristocracy, and she is picking up a piece of cake. The cake is very ordinary, not a unique delicacy. That was the bagpipes in Belfast, and then Edinburgh was probably with her. Sugu had already heard from Royal Oak, and there was no surprise at all. I have to say that compared to the Prince of Wales, Hood is more charming and has more people following her. Of course, rather than saying that Hood has unparalleled honor and charm as a member of the Royal Navy, I don't know how much prestige is involved in it. After all, honor cannot be eaten as food. As the eldest lady, Hood is dignified and elegant, but she doesn't touch the spring water with her fingers. To be fair, if you want to live a happy life, you still have to stay with someone with a good reputation. The head maid has outstanding abilities and is omnipotent. Although she only has one master in her heart, she still regards taking care of everyone as her responsibility, and she continues to do so conscientiously. In short, these are two reasons to follow. At this time, listening to the sound of bagpipes, Sugu chuckled, "Edinburgh conductor. The Belfast bagpiper. Royal Oak Clarinet. Unicorn Harp. The Little Drummer Destroyer Corps. Think again of rock and roll in the Garrison, Alaska, and Guam. Prince Eugen, Fleet Idol. After saying this, Sugu shook his head. Prince Eugen, who was guarding his residence, was not a fleet idol at all, but a complete nanny. I wanted her to open her hands and put them on both sides of her forehead, put her thumbs against her temples, scratch them with her fingers, twist her waist and say Eugene Ojanu. As expected, Quincy Quinn is the best. Counterattack ate the cake in small bites. Seeing that Sugu had lost his voice, she said, "Admiral, you have forgotten King Yi. King Yi is a singer." Sugu nodded, "I almost forgot about her. Speaking of which, Admiral, you should still remember Edinburgh and Belfast." To be honest, I didn't pay attention to the Edinburgh and Belfast sisters in the game, and I didn't even remember whose possession the gold nugget box was. Rare is rare in the game. A light cruiser like this that cannot be modified at all is also not to my liking in terms of vertical painting, so it's good to be able to keep it. It's just that now that I'm studying in the academy, I still have different situations. Edinburgh has giant bearskin hats and gold nugget chests. Hood smiled and said, "Everything is gone. She no longer wears the big hat, and you have already taken away the gold nugget box." Missouri patted Sugu's shoulder. Sugu shrugged and signaled you not to join in the fun. "Belfast, Mr. Bay, survive in the wilderness." "What's the meaning?" "It's nothing." Sugu smiled. He raised his head, but he could only see the ceiling. "Let's go to the rooftop and have a look." Just like that, he saw the two sisters from Edinburgh and Belfast on the rooftop. They were a little different from the ones in the game. They didn't wear Scottish plaid skirts, and their hairstyles were also different. "Admiral, are you here already?" "Belfast is okay, Edinburgh is lively. Since Reputation has gone to find someone and hasn't come back yet, it's hard for everyone to talk on the rooftop all the time." Then they returned to the office together, and Sugu saw a white-haired Sanwoo girl. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 581. I found Belfast and Edinburgh on the rooftop and went back after a short conversation. Later, I saw a white-haired girl in the office. The girl raised her head and called out, "Admiral." She has long white slightly curly hair, and even though she is wearing a uniform, you can tell at a glance that the girl has a slender figure. In addition, he has a very typical oval face, and judging from the eye patch on his right eye, thinking about a British ship, of course it is impossible to be the Prince of Wales, and it is basically impossible to be Nelson. As a battleship, not only has orange hair, but Nelson should be. She's a tall girl. After a while, Sugu quickly recognized that this was the light cruiser Sirius, and greeted him. I didn't see Reputation in the office, so I counterattacked by asking doubtfully, "Where is sister?" Sirius said, "The Reputation told me that the Admiral was here, so I came over first." "I see, she probably has something else to do." Seeing that there was nothing in front of Sirius, she pushed a plate of cake over and made another cup of black tea. "If you don't take the initiative, then just help with the preparations. As a little maid, you can't do anything without a wink." Sirius picked up the teacup, shook the teapot, and fought back to go to the pantry. The next thing was Sugu. He looked at Sirius. Compared to girls who liked quietness and silence, to be honest, he preferred girls who were full of energy. It's not that he likes to accept things passively. He is a purely herbivorous man. Although he was indeed very passive in the past, he has now learned to take the initiative after living as an admiral for a long time. Mainly, energetic girls who can easily bring two people closer together. When it comes to Sugu's impression of Sirius, he is a typical 3-no girl. Of course, this 3-no is not faceless, breastless, and buttless. The three-dimensional illustration of Sirius in the game is still very good, especially the exaggerated exposure and camel toe, which is simply pornographic. In the original game, except for a few light cruisers, such as Helena, Euxion, etc., most of the light cruisers did not have much practice at all. After all, they were too lazy to mention. However, Sirius still came to practice. The golden skin is certainly one of the reasons, and it is also the reason why he is good at both air defense and anti-submarine. The main reason is that he has the above cute points. Well, actually, he didn't know much about the attribute of 3 wuss. He imagined that his face should be expressionless and he didn't like to talk. Sugu felt that his judgment was correct, and it was later proved that it was indeed the case. He sat on the edge of the sofa, picked up his teacup, took a sip, and said, "I'm back." Yes, Sirius responded simply. Sirius and Chung Ching must be quite familiar. In the game, it is unclear who Sirius has a better relationship with, but by studying in the academy, I also learned about the relationship between Sirius and Chung Ching in history. Sirius expressionless, Senior Chung Ching. Chung Ching has returned to the garrison. Oh. Sirius simply responded as usual and said nothing further. Sugu could only continue, Chung Ching and Euxion are together, and it was a coincidence that I met them. I went to attend a classmate's wedding, and then learned about the lives of several wandering ship girls. The news is that we found them this way. Some doubting whether Sirius was angry, Sugu apologized, but the girl said no, he also knew that for his ship girls, it would be better if the admiral came back. It is this that often makes him feel guilty. Of course, he doesn't like the ship girl to give him a straight face, or just slap him. Thinking about it, he still feels a little conflicted. Taking a sip of black tea, Sugu continued to find a topic. Sirius can use flying knives, right? In the game's illustrations, Sirius is shown holding many throwing knives. Will a throwing knife turn into a cannonball if thrown out? Sugu has also seen the fighting methods of many ship girls. For example, Lexington and the others use the flight deck to launch carrier-based aircraft, but Akagi uses a bow and arrows to launch carrier-based aircraft, and then Kaga throws talisman seals that can become carrier-based aircraft. It turns out that as a fantasy being, the ship girl also controls fantasy weapons, and there are all kinds of magical possibilities. Still hoping for an explanation, Sirius's answer was equally brief, no. Sirius should have his own name. The girl reported a name. It was a very common Western name, but it also felt like a name from Eastern Europe. Anyway, Sugu didn't understand it very well. It's good to have a name, otherwise it's easy to get confused. I thought of Sirius. In fact, there is no confusion at all, he is still just looking for a topic. Sirius showed a little curiosity. What is that? It's just the name of a man in a story. Oh. After asking and answering questions, Sugu felt completely discouraged. Under normal circumstances, one should not be curious and ask what the story is, and then answer it yourself, and then everything will be on track. Wanting to give up and wait until later to get closer, he asked casually, "What does Sirius do in the company?" "Guard, I'm good at anti-aircraft and anti-submarine warfare." The two were silent for a moment, and Sugu heard Sirius say on his own initiative, "I heard in the office that the admiral started to quarrel with someone." Think about it, if the manager gave the assistant manager a shoulder throw because of a stranger in the lobby, the gossip would probably spread easily. Sugu replied, "Yes." "Are you hurt?" Following the example of Royal Oak and leaning on the sofa, Sugu said, "No, I have already knocked the person down before I even made a move. Actually, I'm not afraid if she doesn't make a move. I've practiced with Bismarck. Although he still looks pretty cool. He's tall, but I shouldn't have any problem hitting him. And I brought a gun, although my shooting skills are not very good. Haha, it's not time to use the gun yet." Finally giving Sugu some hope, he only saw Sirius purse his lips. I want to protect the Admiral. Wherever the Admiral goes, please be sure to take Sirius with you. Counterattack came back with the teapot and put it down on the coffee table. When he saw Sugu and Momo standing by the window, he thought about it and walked over. Admiral, how are you? How about what? Sirius. Sirius doesn't seem to like talking. As a caring little maid, they have also lived together for a long time, and it is clear that Sugu's character is no longer as bad as it once was. Although my favorites are Lexington, Xiaozai, etc., no matter who they are, even those sisters who were brought back and never met again are still very concerned about them now and work hard to build a good relationship with them. Even though they hadn't seen each other for a long time and they were both on a British ship, she was equally familiar with Sirius and said, although Sirius doesn't seem to like talking, he has a rich heart. Before Sugu could speak, Missouri said, your Admiral is about to be captured.